This is the sound.
This is the sound.
This is the sound.
This is the sound
of the start of your weekend. NTT20's betting show.
I just did finger guns. I think that's like one of the worst things that ever happened.
That's the energy I want. That's the energy I need. The sun's out. This is the NTT20 betting show sponsored by Sky Bet. It's very strictly for over 18s only. Gambling comes with risks. Head to gambleware.org to make sure you understand them. George, more call and response needed. Say the words massive after each fixture that I read out across the EFL as we get into crunch time. This weekend, I'm starting in League One because this is massive. Cardiff v Lincoln.
Massive.
Bolton v Wickham.
Massive.
Blackpool v Wigan.
Massive.
It's like a kid's summer camp, this.
This is the lamest thing ever.
Grimsby v Bromley.
Quite big.
Salford v Barnet.
Massive.
Walsall v Notts.
Massive.
Hull v Millwall.
Big.
Blackburn v Portsmouth.
Big.
Preston North End v Oxford United.
I can't even think about it.
Oh my God. I didn't realise it was possible to get second-hand nerves until I looked at Oxford United's next 3 fixtures. But not only that, George, we got the last 16 in the FA Cup. 5 of them are EFL teams. Mansfield, Port Vale, Wrexham, Southampton, Norwich, all against Premier League opposition. Go and do something special.
How many get through?
1.
Ooh, who?
Don't know.
One of them.
Wrexham. Last week, George got his Acker swerve right. That was Mansfield at home to Wimbledon. That was it. His Snap Harrogate drew 1-1. His next best Plymouth lost 1-0.
Why was I greedy? Why didn't I take the draw no bet available with Harrogate? Upsetting.
There were some great sob stories among the goal scorers. Dara Costello was your pick. He missed a 1-on-1 early on. Rob Apter's team scored 5. He didn't score one of them. He did have one shot, very well placed. Penalty spot, hit it straight at the goalkeeper. Not from the penalty spot, around the penalty spot area. Marcus Brown had 7 shots total for 0.78 XG. Didn't score. And Omari Kellyman, the one we were most excited about, was somewhat mysteriously left out of the squad altogether by BBM.
Yeah.
What's your nap this week?
League 2 for me, and I'm backing Grimsby Town to beat table toppers Bromley at 11-10. Interesting one with Bromley because they're not losing any games, but they're certainly losing some ground at the top of League 2, with only 1 win in their last 5 games. They're on a 17-match unbeaten run, but I'm getting quite confident that is going to end quite soon because the 4 draws come against okay opposition. Of course, Notts County are a very good team. Cheltenham next up, 1-1 draw at home to Cheltenham. Cheltenham aside, kind of battling relegation, but probably going to be safe. A team battling relegation, but not necessarily safe. Harrogate were next up, a 0-0 draw away at Harrogate, and then a 0-0 draw at home to Oldham, who are kind of on the fringes of the playoffs, but not really in it. It's not like it's the hardest assignment, and certainly from a chance creation and goal scoring perspective, Bromley have really struggled, and their 1 win in this time came against Accrington, where Accrington were pretty good until they had a man sent off after 14 minutes. And then after that, Bromley won the game 2-1, but both through penalties. So, it's quite a lot. And I know, Ali, that we recorded Good Month, Bad Month for NTT20 yesterday, and you had Bromley down for a good month. And a lot of the reason for that was because of their fixture list. And there's no denying that once they get through this game against Grimsby, it's Bristol Rovers, it's Newport County, it's Barrow. The assignment's going to get much easier. But I think it's pretty impossible not to see that there has been a downtick in terms of Bromley's performances recently. And if that continues, especially when you consider that this season Bromley's record, firstly, away from home against good teams isn't very good. They haven't lost many games this season. All 4 games they've lost have been away from home. Oldham was 1. Walsall was another, both kind of in mid-table. But Swindon was 1, who are currently 4th. Cambridge was another, who are currently 2nd. Notts County, they drew with 2-2 away from home, and Chesterfield they drew 0-0 with. So Crewe are the only team they've beaten away from home down to 11th because they are still to play MK Dons, they're still to play Salford, Barnet, and then here Grimsby. So if Bromley are going to get over the line here, both in terms of winning the league and also finishing the top 3, it's going to kind of rely on that away form away at teams who are around them in the league improving, and this is the first test of that. Grimsby have been in really good form recently. They raced to a 3-goal lead against Salford in midweek before winning that game 3-1, which is a good bit of form. That comes off the back of a 1-0 win away at Notts County as well. Hasn't all been good. There was a 3-1 defeat against Bristol Rovers recently, but for the most part, over the last 2 or 3 months, basically since Christmas, they put that wobble behind them that came around the kind of cup exploits. And they, again, as they have done at various times this season, look a much better team. Now, given I brought up Bromley's poor record away from home against good teams, Grimsby's home record against good teams isn't great either. Like they failed to beat Cambridge at MK, Notts County and Chesterfield at home, taking 2 points from those games. But that win against Salford is, the second game in a row where they've beaten one of the best teams in the division. And if I'm right, and if Bromley aren't quite at their best at the moment, and certainly if from a chance creation perspective aren't at their best right now, I think Grimsby have the tools to beat them. So I think the unbeaten run comes to an end this weekend. I think the title race might be thrown wide open, as well as the playoff race, because Grimsby will force their way in there, in all likelihood, if they can win this one. And I think 11 to 10 is a decent price about them to do so.
League Two's been really low-key good for a group of teams in Grimsby and Barnet and to a lesser extent Colchester, who, if you're a numbersman, you'd be saying all season, like, this is a decent team. They create quite a lot of chances. They don't give up many. League table doesn't reflect that. Obviously, there's no hard and fast rule that decent numbers in the first half of the season actually end up being cashed in.
Yeah.
But in the case of Grimsby, and maybe in the case of Barnet, and to a lesser extent in the case of Col U, maybe they are being cashed in. And if that's true, having a group of such teams just outside the playoff places with a dozen games to go is pretty exciting, I would suggest. My nap is Portsmouth to beat Blackburn Rovers in the Championship this weekend. It's 9-5, 2.8 the decimal. This is a 1 point play, not a 2 point play. Last week I scrapped my nap completely to loosen up 2 more points to stake on Goalscorer Corner. I'm meeting halfway this week, and I'm just going to back Portsmouth with a 1 point play. I do think they're the best value in the EFL this weekend. They are per Not the Top Tables, which is our data product on ntt20.com. It's XG numbers chopped up lots of different ways. In particular, I like the 10-game XG league table. So for me, a 5-game sample is liable to be impacted by one game and therefore can create false narratives or things that aren't quite set in stone. I think when we get to 10 games, mostly one outlier game will have been kind of smoothed out a little bit. So I do like the 10-game league tables. And then we've got season totals as well. In the Championship 10-game XG table, Portsmouth have the highest XG ratio. That's the proportion of total XG that you take shooting at goal versus that you face. So 68% XG ratio means that Portsmouth, only on XG, basically have twice as many shots or twice as many chances as their opposition over a 10-game period. Now, it's only 4 wins in that time, 2 draws and 4 defeats, so the points return not that reflective of it, and so there'll always be things you can dig in deeper to work out where deficiencies could still be tripping them up, but it's still a decent return. It's moved them away from the bottom 3, and this is a massive game against Blackburn, an absolutely massive game. It's a whoever lose starts to panic big time because Portsmouth are 5 points above the relegation zone. Blackburn are 4 points above the relegation zone. You got West Brom, Leicester and Oxford. It's not out of the question that 1 or 2 of those teams perhaps could kick on and put the pressure on these 2 teams. So don't lose this one would be my advice. Blackburn under Michael O'Neill, I mean, they started with 2 wins. And they followed that up with 2 defeats. I still think in terms of, it's a tough team to analyse. They've had some bad halves of football for sure. The first half against Bristol City, they found themselves 2-1 down. Came on strong in the second half, but couldn't get the equaliser. The second half against Derby, basically the opposite of that. They were 1-0 up at half-time, and then they conceded 3 in the second half. They didn't provide a good backs-to-the-wall performance. A big part of this bet is Blackburn at home. They are not a team for whom home advantage applies. They've got 17 points from 18 home games. Less than a point per game at home is disgusting, to be honest. They've won 4 of 18, one of which was against Sheffield Wednesday. They score less than a goal a game at home in the league this season. And Portsmouth, historically quite poor on their travels over the last 18, 19 months or so, but a bit better recently. If they play anything like they have done over their last 10 games, I think they will have more chances than Blackburn in this game, and we'll need them to take their chances, which they don't always. But apart from Murphy, they've got quite a lot of players available at the top of the pitch. Behind Bishop, you've got a mixture of Ali and Caballero, but also Chaplin and Segacic. There's options for John Mousinho. I think the 9-5 is more than fair. It's my best bet of the weekend, and it's a 1 point play rather than a 2 point nap. George, next best.
Yeah, I'm taking a bit of a chance here. And it's a game that on kind of normal profile, there's no way I kind of would have imagined I'd be with the team that I'm going to put up. But I think that for Walsall to be 11-5 at home to Notts County just seems Like, it's gone way too far. Like, I know, I know that Walsall come into this in terrible form. I know that Walsall come into this with a fan base that are not very happy. I know that it's become pretty toxic in home games, and the last time Walsall won a game at home was back on Boxing Day. Like, I get all of these things and I understand them, but I just can't. Chalking this up in my mind, I'd have thought it'd be a pick'em game, and yet Notts County are like heavy favourites here, despite themselves not being in great form. Like, their last two games, if you take out the 5-0 win against a Tranmere team who have been one of the poorest teams that we've seen in the last kind of group of games. They went to Shrewsbury and they lost 1-0. Last time they hosted Grimsby and they lost 1-0. I wouldn't say they're playing amazingly well. That run of 6 wins in a row is kind of over, and they're a challenge to get in the top three is suffering.
Jata still out injured, and of course,
Love
suspended.
Yeah, exactly. So I just with Walsall, the market went against them in midweek, where they them and Fleetwood went off a pretty similar price. Again, with Walsall at home, which doesn't bode particularly well. And Mark Helm put Fleetwood ahead. Off the back of that, Walsall were pretty good. Like, they weren't bad. They dominated the ball, as you'd expect, with a team who were ahead, which isn't necessarily the way they really want to play. But they had enough opportunities to get back in the game and weren't able to take them. But I'm just not really, if you look at the games they've lost at home recently, they lost 2-0 at home to MK Dons in that game that was on TV where they weren't great. They lost 3-1 at home to Barnet in the game that wasn't great. Again, the market would have Barnet and MK Dons as two of the best 4 or 5 teams in the league. And yeah, it's a pure price thing. Like, if we were doing a predictions game, I wouldn't predict that Walsall are going to win this. And I'm happy to take them just to win the game because, with factors away, with the fan unrest and everything else, if it starts going bad, it's probably going to unravel a fair bit. And there's every chance, I guess, that if this goes bad, it could be the moment where things change and they make a decision
on
Sadler's future. Yeah, but this is still a team that, and a group of players that at times this season has been one of the best teams in the league. They're still in with a chance of finishing the top 7. So it's not like they've lost the need to perform, and it's a huge game for them. I'm just amazed they're kind of pushing 9-4. They're 11-5 with Sky Bet. Which, yeah, for a home team that have the quality and have shown at times this season to be a very good side, I think it's too big.
Feels like a huge first goal wins game for me, that. So I don't hate that pick at all. Goalscorer corner. Okay, so got to talk about Omari Kellyman to start. He was out the squad, and that really came out of nowhere. And weirdly, frustratingly, and I certainly wouldn't tell journalists and local journalists and reporters how to do their job, but as far as I can tell, Barry Murphy doesn't seem to have been asked about Kellyman's absence. Probably because they beat Donny 4-0, probably because Dylan Lawler put in one of the most exceptional ball-playing centre-back displays of any under-21 player I think I've ever seen. But Kellyman did travel with the team. There were some quotes after the Argyle game where Kellyman had scored twice, 2 lovely goals, where BBM was asked about him, presumably looking for some positive comments because Kellyman's been in the news a lot recently for his good form and the fact he's a Chelsea loanee, he's got an interesting background and he's been scoring a lot of goals. And Barry Murphy's quotes suggested that he wanted to make the point that Kellyman wasn't doing exactly what he wanted out of possession and in terms of working for the team as a whole, although he was, has been scoring a lot of goals. So, and I'm just trying to sort of read between the lines. This is pure guesswork, and that's kind of the life of someone who's trying to bet goal scorers on a Thursday. I'm wondering whether BBM basically dropped him to make a point, and if he did, it was emphatically underlined by the fact that the team won 4-0 in Kellyman's absence. But also, now I'm wondering whether if that is the case, it's like a one and done thing where he's not going to overdo it. It doesn't strike me that BBM would overdo it. Make a point, leave him out, bring him back in, hope that the point has landed and he's learned his lesson. But I can't pick him, even though he's 9-2 to score anytime for Cardiff at home. It's against Lincoln. They're an amazing team. This is an incredible match. I can't wait to watch it 12:30 on Saturday. If Kellyman starts at 9-2, it's not going unbacked, but I can't put him up on the show because it'd be a waste of everyone's time if for 2 weeks in a row I put up a goal scorer and they're not in the squad and the bet's avoided. So we're going to ignore him for now. I've got 3 names for you. Joe Taylor is back on the docket, plays for Wigan. They are at Blackpool. He's 3-1 to score any time. I'm putting 1 point on it. Blackpool defensively are an absolute shambles, and there's got to be a big debrief post-mortem about how this has happened at Blackpool this season. and we should be the ones to spend the time to do it. The facts are they've conceded 2 or more in 8 of their last 11 games. Ian Evatt has not sorted out the defence. This group, the personnel involved, for whatever reason, they just can't get it right. Really interestingly, in that last 11 games, 9 strikers have scored against them. So if you look at who is scoring the goals against them, which is something I try and do sometimes for centre-back bets, basically work out how often a CB scores against certain opposition. But with Blackpool, it's very stark. It's the opposition number 9s that are scoring. That really suggests problems in terms of defensive positioning, structure, personnel. Taylor missed the game last weekend, their 1-0 win against Huddersfield, because he's on loan from Huddersfield. Before then, he's looking so sharp. Scored in his last 4 games. Had 3 shots on target in each of his last 2. We know by now with Joe Taylor, when he's on it, he's got great movement, good speed, and he's a proper finisher as well. The variety of finishes has been really impressive. Across his League 1 and League 2 career so far, 67 starts. Anytime has landed in 27 of them. That's a 40% hit rate of any time landing in Joe Taylor starts in League 1 and League 2. 40% suggests odds of 6-4. These odds, 3-1, suggest a 25-1 chance. He's in Goalscorer corner. Marcus Brown is still in Goalscorer corner. Never left. Didn't score for us last week at 4-1. Had 7 shots. Now, yeah, let me be clear. A lot of these are wayward shots. Quite a few from outside the box. He's not a Joe Taylor, a Jack Marriott, a Don Ballard in terms of his finishing quality. He's more of a quantity guy. But as per last week's point, I don't think his current position, playing up top for Wimbledon, his role and his general goal threat is being reflected in the price. They are at home to Northampton, and he's 3-1 to score any time. That's landed in 5 of his last 10. Northampton have only kept 1 clean sheet in 11, and in that time, in 10 of their last 11 games, an opposition striker has scored. In 10 of their last 11 games, an opposition striker has scored against Northampton. In order, Fred Onyedinma for Wickham, he was playing up top that day, scored 2. Fletcher, Gray, Marriott, McGoldrick, Reed, One, Street, Ballard, Stockley, Morgan have all scored against Northampton in their last 11 league games. Can we add Marcus Brown to that list? Please and thank you. Now, in the interest of flagging some new names, because I don't just want to do all the old guys, I don't want to regurgitate too much, albeit if you're backing people because you think they're good value and they don't score one weekend, but the price remains the same, there's an argument that you should keep going, really, if you still think they are value. But Matt Phillips of Stevenage is 11-2 to score any time. I'm putting half a point on. Simple, really. He's playing up front. Ever since Stevenage signed him, and it's a great bit of vision from Alex Ravel, really. Signed Matt Phillips, persuaded him to drop down from the Championship. I'm sure he'd have taken a big pay cut to play games, but play games in a position he's basically never played in what is quite a long career so far. He's playing up front with Jamie Reid, and it's Reid who's doing most of the running out wide. Phillips is kind of just playing as a genuine number 9. He's played 4 games. He scored 1 goal last weekend against Stockport. He had a big chance against Huddersfield as well. 8 shots total.
He's taking free kicks as well.
8 shots total, an XG per shot of 0.16. Very, very healthy. This is a guy that's getting into goal scoring positions. 11-2 to score for Stevenage away at Burton. I really like that as a value pick. So I'm staking 1 point each on Joe Taylor, the Jote, as you called him last week, and Marcus Brown. They're both 3-1 to score anytime, and half a point on Matty Phillips, 11-2. Now, if Omari Kellyman starts, I will be placing 1 point anytime, 9-2. I will not ignore that, but I'm going to keep that in my pocket. If he doesn't start, if he's injured, and all of my questioning around BBM and second guessing BBM could end up being complete rubbish. If he doesn't start, quarter point Trixie instead on Taylor, Brown and Phillips. The doubles range from 15-1 to 25-1. The treble 103-1. What's next for you? I think probably a goal scorer or an Accusworth.
2 goal scorers to follow you in. 2 5-2 shots. One of them might not start, so you have to wait and see. Don't know how this is going to work with my staking plan, but let's just kind of go with it. Cabango, one player who will start is Cabango Tshimanga for Barnet.
I thought you were going to say Ben Kabanga. He'll definitely start.
He's not in
Imagine if you backed Cabango and Kabongo.
Kabongo Tshimanga. Yeah. Yes, they play Salford. Barnet go to Salford. Salford are conceding loads of goals. They conceded 3 goals against Grimsby. They conceded 3 goals against Cheltenham. They conceded 3 goals against Newport recently. And Barnet are a side that, for their faults, are quite good at creating chances. Tshimanga scored 9 goals this season from 7 expected, but an XG per 90 of 0.33. He's playing 90 minutes. Since he moved to Barnet, he scored 5 goals since the end of January. I think he's been a good addition for them to add a bit of cutting edge. So yeah, I'm pretty sure he's going to play. I'm pretty sure Barnet are going to create, and I think he should be the person to profit from that. And then Swindon go to Crawley. Crawley really struggling, especially defensively, just conceding loads of chances. Unsurprisingly, Palmer and Drinan are very short at 6-4. But Fletcher Holman is one who is 5-2 to score any time. And if he plays, and I think he should. It's funny, he played 90 minutes against Crewe and got an assist. And the game before that, he played basically 90 minutes in the 2-1 over Barnet and got an assist. But then he was then taken out of the team and brought in on for the last 20 minutes or so against Bristol Rovers. I'm hoping that was just a young guy getting rested rather than him being taken out of the team. Already scored 3 goals from 2.4 XG. His XG per 90 for Swindon is currently 0.49. So up against... one of the worst defences, maybe the worst defence in the league right now in Crawley. If he starts, I think that's a big price. So, Holman of Swindon at 5-2 and Tshimanga of Barnet also 5-2 anytime.
If you were to place an ACCA weekend, if you were to place an ACCA this weekend, who would you be swerving?
Preston North End.
Yes, here we go. Who are they playing?
They're playing Oxford United on Friday night. Basically, just don't put a Friday night game in your ACCA. That's why I'm choosing this one.
Yeah.
Just get you upset. You go to bed being like, oh no, it's already over, and that's a shame. It hasn't even started yet. I don't know. Preston are in a funny position where they're obviously not going to get relegated. Like they'd have to basically lose every game between now and the end of the season to be in danger of getting relegated. But there are a few signs that things aren't necessarily all right there. They're going off prices that suggest they're one of the worst teams in the league. Their performances and results, apart from the kind of odd good one, such as the one that went over Pompey the other day, where Pompey I think went off favourites at Preston, suggest that all isn't well. They've only won, that's their only win dating back to the 4th of January. They lost 4 games in a row after that in all competitions. They were beaten by Wigan of League One before they sacked the manager and things weren't happy there. Last time out, they were beaten 2-0 by Millwall at Preston. It's just, they're not playing very well. And I think this is maybe the sign of a very young team full of loanees who are maybe just getting a bit knackered, playing in quite a small squad. But this just isn't a huge game for them, basically. Like, yeah, of course they're going to want to win. Of course they're going to want to improve. And I'm sure Hecky will be telling them, and Preston fans listening will say it is a big game. But the jeopardy isn't really there. For Oxford, this is one of the biggest games of their history, certainly recent history. Like, it's just absolutely massive. Off the back of a victory over West Brom, which was similarly huge. Oxford know that if they win this game and they move outside the relegation zone ahead of West Brom and Leicester, ahead of their very, very difficult Saturday fixtures against Ipswich, and I can't remember who the other one is, but quite good.
Sheffield United.
And Ipswich. So you can't, this is a fan base, and I think like the general Championship fan base probably looked at Oxford before the West Brom game and thought, I mean, they're basically down, aren't they?
Yeah.
And probably thought, like, if they lose this, they're definitely down.
Yeah.
And yet, if they win on Friday night, they're going to get out of the relegation zone and quite clearly not down yet. Matt Bloomfield last season at Luton took over and oversaw a pretty terrible run before going on a very good run. As he landed on a kind of personnel and system that worked. It feels like we might be kind of getting there with Oxford in that regard, where like a lot of chopping and changing early on. But now we're seeing a much more settled system in terms of a back four. Jamie Donnelly's return from injury is big in terms of ball progression. Nick Prelets' return from injury means that Oxford have a more potent attacking option to bring off the bench rather than Mark Harris. It's all getting a bit better from Oxford's view. Now, it should be said that Oxford's this season, after a win, normally follow it up with their worst performance of the season, and that is a concern. But in a game where a win would be huge, but also a point would be quite a good result for Oxford, I think the 11-10 about a Preston win here is too short, and I would not put them in your accumulator this weekend.
Tough, isn't it, to choose between the playoff final out of the conference, the playoff final out of League One, the Milk Cup final, the game against Leyton Orient that saw you relegated to the conference. Those surely have got to be in the 4 of the top 5 biggest games in Oxford's history. So maybe this nestles into 5th.
And you'd probably also say that there are games last season, right towards the end, the Sunderland game, for example, which we won at home to kind of stay up.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what is podcasting if you can't use hyperbole?
Yeah.
Like I'd be rubbish at my job. It's quite a big game. Like, who cares?
Should I do an example of what this podcast would be if we didn't have hyperbole?
Yeah. Just a siren in the background. The podcast police are coming for us.
Barnet are the best worst team ever in the whole league, League Two. I'll get onto that. The Eggman. It's my fivefold ACCA. It'd be good to win one, wouldn't it? Yes, it would. Talking to myself now. That's where we've got to. 44.23 with Sky Bet this. I've got Portsmouth in it, as discussed, away at Blackburn, my best bet of the weekend. I've got Barnet in it, away at Salford. This is a big one for the playoff picture because 6th and 7th at the moment. Chesterfield and Crewe on 56. Then Grimsby and Salford are on 55. And then Barnet and Walsall are on 53. So 3 couples, all hoping to get 6th and 7th. If not more, plenty of points still to play for, of course. Salford favourites for the game. I'm taking them on. They've lost 6 of their last 8. Just talked about Kabongo Shamanga. I'm hoping that he'll score here. Salford missing from the squad in midweek when they lost. Daniel Udo, Callum Cisse. 2 crucial players for them. Haji Minoga, Kadeem Harris, 2 somewhat crucial players for them. Injured in the game in midweek and subbed off. Kelly Namai after 10 minutes. Ben Woodburn in the first half. Osama Ashley came on for Ben Woodburn. Came off injured in the second half.
Why didn't you say this during my nap? It made me sound way cooler.
Well, Kabongo Shamanga would score no matter who's playing for Salford.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
Barnet would only win because of these injuries.
Totally.
Barnet have conceded less than a goal a game away from home this season. So impressive on that front. On their travels, not perfect in either box. We know that. Underperforming XG numbers on both ends pretty much all season, but hopefully Shamanga is helping with that. I think Salford just twitchy, missing players. Barnet have a lot of confidence in the way that they play. I like the price. At shorter prices, still in League Two, Cambridge at Accrington. I was very late to the Cambridge party.
You were. You're going to owe me £50.
We bet £50 on this podcast that Cambridge would make the top 7. Your side, that they would finish outside the top 7. My side, I think I could probably pay out. You were certainly a believer before me, but now I'm a big believer, and I hope that's allowed. I just love a team like this. They've won 12 of their last 18 games. They were 1 minute away from beating MK last weekend. A clumsy Sean Raggett tackle, foul for a penalty. Very few hiccups otherwise. Incredibly consistent. A masterclass really from Neil Harris in nailing the defensive side and out of possession bits first and foremost, and then improving in attack throughout the season. And I guess the confidence that comes with clean sheets and unbeaten runs adds to that. They've got a good group of 15, 16 players all contributing. And they're away at Aki, who've lost their last 3. They've lost 4 of their last 5. They're leaking a little bit, having massively outperformed expectations this season. This is pretty normal for a team to trundle down the table a little bit without much jeopardy on things. They actually played pretty well against Bromley, as you mentioned, but Donald Love's suspension, backline not as strong. Cambridge very strong. I've also got Colchester at Newport here because I don't think Newport have it in them against the better teams. I watched them beat Tranmere on Tuesday night. I was delighted for them. They got out the relegation zone after being in it for 151 days, but they were lucky. They were pretty poor. It was 1-1 heading into half-time, and then Sam Finley put in a reckless challenge that saw him get sent off. And had it been 11v11, even though Tranmere are about as bad a team as I've ever seen at this level, I'm not that convinced Newport would have won that game. And as it was against 10 men, they did get ahead, but they made it look quite hard work, I would suggest. They hadn't scored in 6 of their 7 games before Tuesday, and that was the easiest fixture they could have had. So I'm not suddenly a believer in Newport necessarily. Their players compared to Colchester's, there's just a huge gulf in individual quality here. For Colyu and Bix back, came off the bench in midweek after over a month injured. They lost that game and they're not in great form, but they have to win really to keep any playoff hopes alive. And I believe that the Cowleys will still have them pretty up for it. Rodney Parade will be rocking, I would imagine, but I just don't back Newport against top teams. The good news for them, they've got still a lot of the teams around them still to play. And then lastly, Plymouth against Doncaster in League One. Argyle, the team that I'm picking, just a shade under even money. We kind of need last week's performance and defeat at Rotherham to be a blip. We need the Argyle that beat Cardiff 5-2 last time out at Home Park to come back to the surface. Donny have had a tough week. They had the Virtue Trophy semi. They lost to Stockport and now they trekked down to Devon. Argyle having chilled out all week, put their feet up, rested. Donny have had some away wins recently against Rotherham, Burton, Wimbledon, but they've also been thumped by Wickham. They've been beaten by Bradford. They've conceded 3 or more 8 times this season in the league, Doncaster, and they're playing a team that scored 3 or more in 3 of its last 4. So I like Argyle at the price. So the Eggman, the 5-fold ACCA, It's got Portsmouth in it, it's got Plymouth Argyle in it, and it's got Colchester, Cambridge and Barnet all in League 2. It's around the 43-1 mark with Sky Bet. Joint bet. BTTS, sixfold.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. Do you remember all three of mine won last week? My odds against and even money ones.
Incredible.
I know.
Go again, please.
Yes, kind of similar ideas with a couple of them. I mentioned that Shrewsbury are being priced up as being terrible going forward. And that's the same again because they're going to Chesterfield, who are relatively goalsy, not the best defensively, but generally score. And it's 10-11 for BTTS there, which seems kind. And in League One, Stevenage, again, all season been really a good one for unders and BTTS, no, but recently all their games seem to be going BTTS. Marker hasn't really twigged. They go to Burton. Game is very goalsy as well, for the most part, 10-11 there too. And I just suddenly realised I hadn't looked at your selections. I hope I wasn't seeing any of yours, but I haven't. QPR Middlesbrough. So it could go on to Sunday. If we get the first 5 up, we have a whole night's sleep.
Yep.
Sweating on this. Borough under Hellberg, as we know, pretty relentless from an attacking perspective. They don't concede loads of goals, but QPR all season under Julian Stefan have been pretty, even at their worst, creating a fair bit. They lost 2-0 to Sheffield United last weekend, but created quite a lot there too, up against a side kind of similar in style and quality as Borough, if not, maybe not quite as good as we saw the other night. But yeah, fancy goals there too. So QPR Borough on Sunday, Burton Stevenage and Chesterfield Shrewsbury.
Call me the former Prince, Ali. I don't sweat on anything.
Oh.
Hull v Millwall's going in. Last 10 games. This is a good use of not the top tables on NTT20.com, by the way. You can sort. You don't have to look at teams' XG ratio and decide whether they're good or they're bad or the numbers are lying or the numbers are true, whatever. You just look at XG total and enjoy the teams whose games are most open based on the amount of chances both given up and created. And in the Championship, this is neat. The highest total XG, both for and against, over the last 10 games. Hull first. Not that surprising. Millwall, second. They play each other this weekend. In terms of BTTS, actually, Hull have only landed BTTS in 5 of their last 10. It's the same for Millwall, but I believe they are goalsy and they'll play out an open game. Barnsley and Exeter, I think similar, really. BTTS has landed in 8 of Barnsley's last 10 and 6 of Exeter's last 10, but there they are. Barnsley are third and Exeter are 7th in terms of total XG across their last 10 league games. Exeter creating and conceding almost an equal amount. Barnsley, they give up a lot of chances. They create a fair amount as well, and they have David McGoldrick generally scoring them. And then Blackpool, Wigan, I've already spoken about this. I think Joe Taylor's a good price at 3-1 to score any time. So stands to reason, I think Wigan will cause problems for a terrible Blackpool defence. But the one saving grace for Blackpool is that generally, they do score. And I think they will. So that's the sixfold BTTS ACCA. It's got QPR Borough in the Championship. That's on Sunday, but it's also got Hull and Millwall in that division. In League One, it's got Barnsley, Exeter, Burton, Stevenage, and Blackpool, Wigan. And in League Two, Chesterfield against Shrewsbury, 30.67 the price as we record with Sky Bet. George, let me recap my selections, then good God, I'd love to hear yours. This is, as mentioned at the top, a massive weekend. And I'm so excited about it. My nap, Portsmouth to win at Blackburn at 9-5. Goalscorer corners got Joe Taylor, anytime, 3-1 for Wigan against Blackpool, 1 point play. Marcus Brown, 3-1 for Wimbledon at home to Northampton on Sunday, 1 point play. Matt Phillips, 11-2 anytime for Stevenage at Burton, half point play. And then we're holding back a point for team news. If Omari Kellyman starts, 1 point anytime, 9-2. If he doesn't, quarter point Trixie on Taylor, Brown, Phillips. The Eggman. Portsmouth away at Blackburn. Barnet away at Salford. Cambridge away at Accrington. Colchester away at Newport. And then Plymouth Argyle at home to Doncaster.
My nap at Grimsby at home to Bromley at 11-10. My next best Walsall at 11-5 at home to Notts County. My goal scorer is half a point on Tishmanga. And then we're holding half a point back for team news.
Yeah, well done.
Fletcher Holman and Swindon. If he doesn't start, then stick it on Tishmanga. Although I kind of tempted to leave it with him because he'll come off the bench at a time when that game is stretched. But no. And then my ACCA swerve, Preston North End on Friday night at home to my beloved Oxford United for what they're calling the biggest game in 2026 worldwide. So there you go.
For a man who might as well have everything's, always bet value tattooed on him, the idea that you might back someone that you think might be coming off the bench at 5-2 anytime has value be.
I don't hate it, though.
Stop saying that.
What I'm saying is, no,
you do hate it.
But what someone might hear that and be like, "Oh, I've seen the Holmans come on. I'm going to check Sky Bet, see what price he is in running. Nice, he's 9-2. I'm going to back that.
Great.
Yeah.
There you go.
Thanks.
You completed it.
Right, so I'm half a point on whatever Holman is when he comes off the bench.
Unless it's
shorter than 7-2.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. That's what
because then if it's 5 minutes to go, then none.
Okay.
Cool.
Well, I think we cleared that up. So up for this weekend, the FA Cup as well. It's going to be brilliant. We'll be breaking it all down on the Monday pod as well. Really appreciate you listening to us, watching us on YouTube. Really, genuinely, we do. A couple of months to go, and as I hope is coming across, like the energy's pretty high. We love this stuff. So with thanks to Sky Bet for sponsoring the pod, and to the Reverters for playing us out beautifully. Go Al.